welcome to the Cinema Lounge podcast, where we just chill and talk
Just
about
hang
movies.
out.
Just hang out and
Yeah.
talk about movies or cinema.
But we're watching a Marvel movie,
And
so I
according
don't know
to-
how that adds up.
Yeah,
So,
according to Scorsese, Marvel movies aren't cinema.
yeah.
They're just roller coaster rides.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree. It's fun, but
That's a topic for
definitely
another day.
cinema. Hello and welcome. I am Garrett, your host for this roller coaster ride.
Yep.
And this is my buddy Broc,
I'm Broc. I'm just happy to be here.
just chilling. But yeah, today we're talking about Iron Man.
Yep.
Very good movie.
Very
It was
good.
Fun watching it. We watched
Yeah.
it a couple days ago. Yeah. So, reason I wanted to talk about this is our first podcast episode ever.
Mhm.
First movie we're talking about is the first movie in the MCU. And the reason I wanted to talk about it first personally is this is the first movie that I saw that really got me into movies in general.
Yeah.
Like, before that, it was just kind of, they're kind of entertainment. And with this, it was just kind of, my mind was blown by how much I liked it. And the reason I really liked it was just because beforehand, right, I thought superheroes were baby stuff. You know, my dad really wanted me to watch this. He enjoyed Iron Man, Captain America, The Dark Knight. And he was like, you should watch one of these movies. They're pretty good. I'm like, nah, man, superheroes are for babies. They're for children. I'm not a child. I'm a full-grown 12-year-old
11-year-old.
boy.
Yeah.
I'm a fully grown 11 to 12-year-old boy. I don't mess with that kid crap anymore. And he made me watch it one night, and I was like, crap, that was awesome. And he goes, you know what else is awesome? I go, what? They're going to make an Avengers movie. I go, what the mess is an Avengers? And he goes, oh, well, we're going to watch a Captain America movie now. They're going to be in a movie together. And I go, that's awesome. How about
Little
you?
did you know,
Yeah,
that was
I know.
just the beginning.
Yeah, I know, right? I was just like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, oh, now it's a whole universe.
Yep. So, the way I watched it, I watched Captain America, the first Avenger first. That was the first superhero movie I saw in theaters, I'm pretty sure. And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I saw it at the Dollar Theater, so it was
Back
like
when those were a thing.
well after it was out to the general public, and then not too long after it got released, we watched the Avengers. The Avengers came out, and I was all about it. I absolutely loved it. That was the first time I remember being in like a crowded theater, and I was all about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So after that, I wanted to watch the other ones. And the first, I heard Iron Man was the best out of all of them. So I bought it on iTunes, because why would I buy anything
Yeah.
else on iTunes?
The only use for iTunes.
Yeah, that's what I use with my iTunes money. I got Iron Man and downloaded that, and I watched it a whole bunch of times. I watched it probably like 5 or 6 times within the first year or so that I owned it. So I absolutely love this movie. As looking back, it's easily the better movie than Captain America, but I liked it. I like Captain America more just because that was the first one I saw.
Yeah.
But
Kind of got that nostalgic.
yeah,
Just like
for
me
sure.
with Iron Man.
But I still have a lot of nostalgic connections to this movie. And this was one of the movies that just kind of set me on my way.
Yeah.
Specifically that summer of 2012, because I saw The Avengers, The Amazing Spider-Man, and The Dark Knight Rises all
Yeah.
within that little
Yeah.
6-month span. And from then on, I was just hooked.
Yeah.
I was watching
big.
however many movies I could a
Yeah,
year.
I was big into superheroes then, and then
Yep.
that just kind of led me down the road to, oh, you mean there's other really good
Yeah.
movies that aren't about superheroes?
I think the first movie I saw in theaters, that I chose to go see, I didn't see it with like my family,
Yeah.
was Edge of Tomorrow, and that was 2014. So I had like
Dang.
2 years where I was just strictly for my enjoyment watching superhero movies and
Yeah.
just catching up on all that stuff.
Yeah. And
So-
then going to see something, but I'm trying to remember what I went and saw for the first time, like by myself.
I know the first one I saw, it was me and our friend Mitchell. We saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I watched it without my parents. I was like, wow, it's so cool. And I convinced myself I liked the movie. I really did. So.
Oh, what are you talking about? That movie's a cinematic masterpiece.
No, but that's another episode.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about both of those movies in a podcast episode.
Yes.
Because I have
there's a lot
very strong opinions on both.
Yes.
Both good and bad. So
but we're here to talk about
Iron Man.
Mr. Tony Stark.
So why don't we actually talk about the movie now that we're 5 minutes in?
Yeah, let's just freaking jump into it.
Let's
start at the beginning, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I was watching it. I have my notes here. I took notes. You did.
I did not.
Because I'm a note taker,
and
I guess.
I probably should have. I just didn't. So.
But you just at the
hopefully
beginning,
I know the movie well enough.
They really just jump right into the action. And that really surprised me because I'm used to all these other superhero origin movies where it's like you get introduced to them as they were before, and then maybe 30, 40, 50 minutes into the movie, there's the inciting incident that puts them on their path towards You think being a superhero, you think about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Right, both Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man, it takes its time building up to Uncle Ben's death. Spoiler alert, but I feel like
that's the turning point in the movie.
Yeah, that's literally just about every Spider-Man.
And also, Batman Begins. It takes quite some time to get to him being in the suit, him actually figuring out he needs. Well, it's more of a gradual process than like a turning point with that one, but it's like the same. You establish the character. You take a while to establish the character, and then he's the superhero.
This is what
about halfway through.
And Iron Man kind of follows that, but the cool thing about this is that they jump right into the inciting incident, and then they just spend time within that time.
Yeah.
Right, because you spend maybe 5-10 minutes with Tony Stark being billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Yeah.
And then, the Fun V blows up. He gets the shards in his chest, realizes, he was attacked with his own weaponry.
Yeah.
And then we spend the next 20 minutes in a cave.
Yeah.
And it's just perfectly paced out.
Oh, yeah. From the first scene to when he leaves the cave, I think is absolutely perfect. Mm-hmm. I love pretty much everything about it, and especially how much ground they are able to cover with establishing Tony Stark's character before the incident. So we see this sweet montage that just explains his entire life story. And then we see he's not at the awards show. He's just living it up gambling. He just sleeps with this reporter that he's known for 5 minutes, maybe.
Literally, he just comes up and goes, hey, you're a bad dude. And he goes, but do you want to sleep?
Yeah, that's his reaction to it. So it very much establishes that he's not living all that great of a lifestyle. And then even in the next day, he's super late for the plane. He's just making Rhodey wait on him. Pepper's trying to keep him on track, and he's only caring about himself. He's not concerned with literally anybody else but himself. Even the girl
I'm going to interrupt.
Oh, you're good.
But I think the only person that you see that he cares about is his father.
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason he's doing this. Is the only reason he's involved with his business is because of his father.
Yeah.
He could have easily quit and just used his money to do whatever.
It makes it very clear that he's not just in the business because of his father. He didn't just inherit it.
Yeah.
He's also a genius. It said it mentioned he built his first engine at age, I want to say 12, something super early. But in that montage, it just shows how far he's come from just a small boy. So if he's building an engine at age 12, what's he doing now? So it's really good at establishing Tony Stark in just such a short amount of time.
It feels very unique for a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist type character where he has that genius within him. He has that potential, but because he's used to a certain lifestyle, it keeps him back, and that's what's turned him into.
And if the 15 minutes before the incident doesn't work, I think the rest of the movie it relies on the introduction to this character very, very heavily. So I think it knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, really well.
Yeah, and even in the cave, he's just thinking about what he's gonna do, even if he does get out of it, because he doesn't have a lot of hope at the beginning. He just says, the guy's like, okay, you make me a Jericho missile, I'll let you out, and he just says, no, you're not. So he's kind of, there's a brief period where he just kind of accepts his fate, that he's probably gonna die in the cave before he figures out his plan to make the Mach 1 suit and get out of there.
He's pretty much put in a position where he's forced to use his intelligence to work himself out of a situation rather than just be lazy and accept
and
it.
Being in the cave has a lot of iconic imagery, and just like the clanking of the that's just like they put that at the end of Endgame. It's such a simple thing, but this movie just transcends the rest of the MCU to where just sounds, and that shot where he lays the mask down, those are just so iconic that they're just easily identifiable with this movie. And the fact that this is what started off the MCU, it's just, this movie is almost like the face of the MCU, really. So
another thing I want to touch on is something else you have to get right in that 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, that first beginning part of the movie. Something you have to get right, especially with a superhero movie, is you have to make the death of the mentor mean something.
Yeah.
And unlike someone like, Spider-Man with Peter Parker and Uncle Ben, like, they're family, and there's an impactful moment when he dies, because the lesson that he's trying to learn, that Ben's trying to teach Peter, is applicable to that situation. That's what makes that work and makes it so emotionally resonant. But with this, these are two guys, Yinsen, who I guess you can, if you're going to apply roles to all the characters, Yinsen would be the mentor character.
Yeah.
Him and Tony don't know each other going into this. They just end up in a cave together.
Yeah.
But what makes Yinsen work, I think, is what he represents. Like, he's established well as a character within maybe 10, 15 minutes of screen time.
Oh, yeah. Not a lot at all. Yeah.
But he's established well enough, but also, the more you learn about him, the more you realize what he represents is pretty much everyone Tony impacts with his line of work. Every time he makes a Jericho missile, he's not impacting, well, he is impacting like the soldiers who use it, or the terrorists who take it and use it on the soldiers. He's making an impact on those lives, but it's the innocent lives caught in the crossfire. And that's what motivates him to go, maybe I'm not doing such a great thing, look at all the lives I'm ruining. And then when Yinsen dies, a man who is directly negatively impacted by what Tony does dies protecting him. I think that works so well to be used as a motivating factor when Tony gets back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, then the rest of the movie doesn't work. Because if his motivation coming back feels at any way cheap, or just not, if it feels any different than what it is in the movie, the rest of the movie's runtime doesn't work, and everything Tony does doesn't work.
But they absolutely nailed it. So, and I think Yinsen is just, doesn't get talked about as much, which, I mean, I guess he's not, in the grand scheme of things, he's not that important of a character.
Like, if you look at the whole MCU, he's probably spent maybe
0.01 easily.
0.01% of screen time in the whole MCU.
But yeah, and I like the idea that Tony Stark's paired with somebody who's just comes from the exact opposite of a background as him, but
he still has that genius.
Yeah, but he still is equally skilled, and he sees, Tony's just like, this guy could totally be, smart enough to be like Tony Stark. Maybe not that, but given the opportunity, he probably could be. And look what he's doing with his life, and look what Tony's doing with his life. So it was, that character is just a great way for Tony to see his potential as just a human.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, as far as I'm aware of, that's kind of beat by beat from the comics.
Okay.
I've read. I'm not a huge comic book person, but I've read maybe the first 40 Iron Man comics,
Okay.
and a little, just some comics here and there. But if you read the Iron Man line, that first Iron Man line, this movie takes a lot of liberties with it, but they decide to kind of preserve the moment in the cave because I think it's so thematically resonant with Tony's character. But obviously with the movie, at the end, Tony goes, "Hey, I am Iron Man." He outs himself as a superhero. In the comics, it's a Batman. Got to keep my secret identity.
Yeah.
And Iron Man's just my bodyguard.
And like you compare that with, the very dramatic line at the end of the first Spider-Man where he's like, "Those who I love are the ones most at risk."
Yeah.
When I put on the, just like this.
And Iron Man just, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he can afford to do that. That's like just.
Well, he can afford to do that, but also I think that still goes to show Tony isn't 100% changed.
Yeah.
Like the main thing he had to realize in this movie was what he did and the way he was living was wrong.
Yeah.
And he had to change that, but that doesn't change who he is.
His personality is still very evident throughout the rest of the movie.
He still suffers from that massive ego problem, so I think him outing himself at the press conference is still part of that. Sure, part of it might have been, I don't want to live in fear, but the other part of it is probably, shoot, I mean, I'm Iron Man. I want people to know.
Yeah. And I think the character that does the biggest part in helping him solve his ego problem is Pepper. Because she's there, it's established that she's been there for, at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
And the way he treats her in the beginning is very dismissive. And he doesn't realize what he has with Pepper. He doesn't realize how much she does and sacrifices for him until he goes to the cave and comes back and just, see, like, she's crying when she comes back. And he's like, wow, a person actually caring for me beyond just my money or my potential that I can have for them. Even to an extent, Rhodey, he's just... they're friends, but Rhodey's more or less there for the military, aspect of Tony's lifestyle. So, Pepper's really there to kind of dial back his ego and make him realize, how he can impact the people in his life personally instead of just like on a grander scale. So,
that's another thing you got to get right with these superhero movies is the love interest. And you got to make them more than the love interest.
Yeah.
And I think they do that really well with Pepper. And I think everything you said about their relationship is right. But I would also say you got that like intense sexual tension throughout the entire movie, and I think the fact that he never acted on it at the beginning shows you that he cares at least a little bit about Pepper.
Yeah.
She's not just like an outlet for him to blow off steam or whatever. There's some sort of emotional connection, and I'll compare it to Sean Connery, James Bond.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of kind of references at the beginning how he lives is like the James Bond type, because his relationship with Pepper reminded me a lot of some scenes between Bond and Moneypenny in the old Sean Connery movies where they would be very flirtatious with each other, but there was never like an actual sexual relationship. It would just be flirting, and that would be it, because I think it shows that, sure, they might end up having a relationship, but to them their relationship is more than physical, if that makes sense.
Yep, and it's like if you bring in the physical aspect, it might ruin what you have going for you right now.
Yeah.
So
there's a deeper emotional connection than just, with Bond and Tony, both of them slept around a lot, and they never, with the reporter, he never called her back.
Oh yeah, he didn't
So
even show her the door.
Yeah.
He was gone when she woke up. He
was just like,
he just moved on to whatever project he had. He's just working on a car. So
it's just kind of like, this is what I want to do now, so I'm going to do it. Almost like sees him less as human. And I think the fact that that never happens with Pepper. I don't think they don't even kiss in the movie, do they? Or
They get.
until the end? 'Cause they
No, I don't
almost-
think so.
They almost do at the dance, but the fact that I don't think they ever kiss until maybe the end of the movie. And that's a
Yeah.
maybe.
And
The fact that shows that there's a deeper emotional relationship.
you brought up the scene at the dance, and the movie does a good job of calling attention to his lifestyle with the women as like a very negative thing, because now he can't even just dance with this girl he likes because she knows how that's going to be perceived. She thinks she's just another girl he's going to sleep with or whatever. He's not. She knows that he has a deeper connection with her, but everybody else doesn't.
Yeah.
So she just looks like, oh well, this girl's gonna be sleeping with her boss. That's how it's gonna be, and that's the consequence of Tony's lifestyle before the cave. So he's got to do more than just on like a personal level. He has to. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm done.
Rambling.
That's all I
on
had.
a personal level, he needs to change.
Yeah, there we go. Something like that.
Just to wrap up that thought.
I didn't.
No, speaking of like life before the cave, the reporter, I didn't realize how much she was in the movie.
Yeah.
I thought she was just going to be in that beginning scene where they kind of flirt. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they, have...
She does her job.
Yeah.
And then...
She does her job, and he, in response, goes, yeah, but let me take you to bed.
let me take you from Las Vegas to Malibu in one night, and it's probably already 2 a.m.
And we're going to have a one-night stand.
Yeah. Which is probably about 2 hours if you do the math. Because she wakes up and it says good morning. It is 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So not a lot of time there.
No, literally just a split second, not even a second thought from him.
Yeah.
But she pops back up throughout the movie, and she works. What the crap just happened to our camera? Gosh dang it!
It turned off.
Hold on. I don't know what the heck just happened. Let me fix that real quick. Talk.
All right. Let's see here. Iron Man is a good movie. I think what happened here is the camera just it's like it auto shut it off because
I think you just got impatient that
we weren't
recording.
Okay.
Recording on my
computer. I think most cameras do that where if it's left alone for half an hour, it just turns off automatically.
Well, I turned that function off. I think what it was is just it doesn't understand why it's still on. And
I gotcha.
I haven't pressed the record button on there because that's what it wanted me to do.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
Of all the technical dilemmas,
yeah, I know,
that's
right?
probably
this is like
the
our
easiest
third time
fix.
trying to record it.
So I'll take it.
Just move on from this. And you know what?
Yeah.
We don't even need the footage. It's a podcast.
Yeah. All right. So what are we?
I was talking about the reporter.
Reporter. Yes.
Yeah. So the reporter kind of serves as this reminder to Tony of his previous life, how he used to be, because not only did they have sexual relations, but they also the reason they met is because she's calling him out on everything he does.
Yeah. The Merchant of Death.
Yeah, she straight up just calls him out on his entire lifestyle, and she continues to come back throughout the movie to doubt him and to say, "Oh, I knew you weren't really changed." So it's like this phantom of who he used to be, and what he's trying to get away from.
Yep.
And she
brings up. I think that's spot on because she brings up the fact that Yinsen's village is being raided with the weapons he made. Yeah. So she's there just bringing him the news of what, his, what is happening at his hand, how innocent lives are being taken because of his business that he was blind to and just didn't, was too ignorant to see. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, I like just talking about this kind of stuff and seeing the deeper, cinematic.
Well, it's
like movies.
I don't think we could do this with every Marvel movie.
Yeah, no, for
because I
sure.
think this is one of the more just well put together Marvel movies, and even just from like a standpoint of having these, you know, threads these in the background, like with the reporter. Like I don't even think some of the best ones, like, you know, Infinity War or Endgame, as much as I love those and I think the characters are great, they're just not just your typical movie.
Yeah.
So you don't get, you know, moments like that.
Yeah.
Because it's just they're just kind of beasts of their own because they're dealing
Yeah.
with so many
Like
characters.
Infinity War and Endgame are these big event movies. Those are really the roller coasters.
Yeah.
That Scorsese's talking about, where it's all the character development and all the themes and everything you're invested in is built into that movie.
Yeah, and it leads to this big moment of
Yeah,
payoff
and you just get to this, and it's just, this is them interacting with each other and trying to be
for the
bad
very
guy.
first time. Yep.
Yeah. So this works on a different level because it's smaller scale. We're focused on one character, and what they have to do right, they get right.
Absolutely.
But when in comparison to the rest of the MCU too, just tonally, how it feels.
It's just such a small scale
Yeah.
movie, and even it's probably, I'd say definitely the most grounded MCU movie
Yeah.
in terms of like realism. Because
It's not like overtly.
I
comic
can't
booky.
think of another movie that's more
You
just
could maybe look at the first Avenger, but even with that, there's like super soldiers.
yeah.
Like with this, it's very possible that there's someone out there right now.
Oh, there
Elon
definitely
Musk.
is. Oh, definitely. There are people working on Iron Man suits as
there's
we
someone
speak.
with the money and the technology available to be able to work on that. The only thing
Yeah.
that's realistically sketch is the arc reactor. So
Yeah,
you have to
yeah.
figure out how to generate that amount of energy. But still, then they build Iron Man up to be this very realistic feeling superhero that could actually exist in our world.
Yeah.
And, you know, not realistic in the way like maybe the Dark Knight trilogy is, where that's gritty and it's realistic because there's people who die. And
Yeah.
this is more like realistic, and this just feels like this could probably happen.
Yeah.
But on top of that too, just tonally, the rest of the MCU, or at least especially recent MCU, it just feels so like broadly appealing, I guess. This movie feels very much like a movie that my dad would make. You know?
Yeah.
It feels like it's made by someone of that age range.
Yep. Especially with the music.
The AC/DC, even the score is just full of drums,
Yeah.
and electric guitar,
And I think for 90% of the movie it works.
Yeah.
There are some parts where it feels a little cheesy, a little out of place, but
Yeah.
for the most part you get those shots where it's just panning around the new suit and you got the drums and the guitar there.
and you're in that moment.
It's easily just one of my favorite Marvel scores just because of how unique it is.
Yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
not your typical.
This is definitely just like, you know, a 70s, 80s kid who grew up on these bands, these movies. There's, it reminded me of Star Wars in points where they used the swipe.
Yeah, the wipes.
The wipe
Yep.
transitions to go to desert locations.
Yeah, totally.
And it felt very much like Star Wars at the beginning. You had the James Bond stuff.
Yeah.
Even when he goes to bed with the reporter, you got kind of a little. It feels like
totally.
someone who just grew up watching these specific movies and they loved them that much.
Yeah.
So when they get a chance to make a big blockbuster movie of their own,
That's what they're going to take inspiration from.
yeah, and it's cool to watch that, and you get those references don't feel cheap. It just feels like this is Jon Favreau's love of cinema. This is the stuff he loves, and this is the stuff he wants to make.
Yep.
And it feels very authentic with that.
I totally agree. So, I'm going to talk about Obadiah,
Obadiah,
the part where
you know, the
I'm
main antagonist.
the seed of negativity in every Marvel movie, the
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah, just like you go away from almost every MCU movie and you go, yeah, that was really fun. I really liked Iron Man, or I really liked Captain America. What'd you think about the villain?
Who?
The who now?
Yeah, I don't remember the villain.
Who?
Yeah. Like, if we didn't look up a list of all the villains about, 45 minutes ago, I wouldn't be able to tell you half of them.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
just because
we looked at a list.
there's-
There's just kind of. Oh right, yeah, him.
I think like if I didn't see Caecilius for
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, I would not have been able to tell you that was his name.
Yeah.
You know.
I literally just go, oh yeah, that's Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. I know him as Mads Mikkelsen more than Caecilius.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, it's just kind of most of the MCU villains are. I would say most of them are serviceable.
yeah,
I wouldn't say like overall they're all bad. There's like 3 or 4 bad ones,
yeah,
and then the rest of them are just like they're there.
Yeah.
They work for what they are.
and then you got I'd say 5 or 6
Yeah.
good ones.
Yeah.
So-
you got Vulture, Thanos,
Loki.
Killmonger, Loki.
Yeah,
You got some really good ones, but for the most part, you got guys like Obadiah.
and
Stane.
if you look at it, with the exception of this one, pretty much every great comic book movie is gonna have a very memorable, solid villain.
Yeah, I mean, you look at-
Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, the first 2, The Dark Knight,
Mhm.
you know, Infinity War.
I would even say, I mean, Spider-Man 3 is not a great movie, but I would say Sandman, which
Yeah,
is who
Sandman was a
Sam Raimi
great
wanted
villain.
to use. He works well in that movie because Sam Raimi wanted to develop the villain.
Yeah,
Yeah, all good superhero movies have to have that really good antagonist. When you look at TV shows, superhero TV shows, most people judge a season of television by how good the villain is.
yeah,
And with this movie, this is kind of like an exception to the rule. This is a really good movie with a very
okay villain. Very,
overwhelming villain.
yeah,
This movie, Obadiah left me
and
bummed.
the twist that he's the villain. Whenever you watch it back, it's so
It's
so obvious.
Just the first line of dialogue.
Yeah.
It's-
whenever Tony gets back and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna shut down the weapons manufacturing," and Obadiah's like, "No, it's all good. Don't worry.
The main
We're gonna
thing
keep it
is
up." Yeah,
Tony's bad.
yeah.
Like so unenthusiastically.
Like we know we know there's something up.
Definitely, at
Yeah.
the very least, you hate Tony.
And even like in the beginning montage, you have that shot where, I want to say, you know, Obadiah's on some of the magazine covers too, and there's one with like Tony in front, and he's back to back with Obadiah, and he's just kind of looking backwards,
Yeah.
and it's like a little menacing. So even like at the very beginning, you're getting these hints that you know Obadiah's up to something.
Yeah.
So
And just the moment they decide to have the twist is just
Yeah.
so nonchalant.
I don't even remember it, and I saw it a few days ago.
Yeah, it was when like it just cuts or does the wipe transition to the desert and one of them black SUVs.
Oh, yeah.
Every cinematic villain ever pulls up to the terrorist camp and everyone starts getting out and they just have a close up of the door and it slams closed and there's Obadiah.
And then
you're
you
just kind of like, oh, okay, he's the villain.
And then you got the other terrorist, with the melted face, who says nothing. I can't.
He says, "Bring me the Jericho missile."
Bring me. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's the.
build me the missile. That's all he's there for. We talked about something about Genghis Khan and spears.
Yeah.
The villains are very. not
Honestly, I
memorable.
think the best villain is probably the one with the beard.
Oh yeah.
In the cave.
Yeah. He was like constantly interacting.
Yeah,
with
he
Tony
had
and-
the most. I think he had the most personality out
he
of
had
any of them.
personality, and
So-
there was he had a great moment when
He was about to.
like the debut of the Mark III. That
Yeah.
was a great scene where he's just mowing through the terrace, and then he gets to the one bearded
Yeah.
guy, beats him up a little bit, and leaves him for the civilians.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's such a great moment of vindication where it's not just I'm going to kill you now. Like, you're at my mercy, I'm going to kill you. He just goes, no, you hurt them. I'm going to let them deal
Yeah,
with
yeah.
it. That's such a great moment.
And the
in
fact
general,
that
but-
Tony was, he was hurt just as much, if not more,
yeah.
than these people. And the fact that he's, letting his,
Yeah.
ego take a step back and let, the people
Yeah.
do what they want.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he
a good
hurt
moment.
me, but also I played a part in hurting these guys. The least I could do is
Yeah.
save them in this moment and let them have vindication
Yeah.
on this guy, specifically this guy.
So yeah, I think he,
Best villain.
best villain.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
Maybe even the best Iron Man villain, unless you
You're the
count
terrorist
unless you
man.
count Vulture.
Yeah, Vulture really was kind of more of an Iron
Yeah,
Man villain.
but yeah, I think that's easily this movie's weakest part.
Mhm.
But it's not like enough to make me like it any less.
Yeah, it's not like he was bad, like Obadiah was bad. It was
Yeah.
just kind of he was there to serve a purpose, and that was the purpose he was there to fill. He did.
Yeah.
He was there to be the antagonist. Thematically bounced off well, like
Mhm.
Tony's
Especially like as a person,
Mhm.
he's the opposite of Iron Man. Even and like the suit is like the opposite of Iron
Yeah.
Man's. Instead of the
friend.
slim,
Like,
the sleeker suit, he's got the bulky one. So
he's very much there to be another representation of who Tony was. If you want to take it to a thematic level, Obadiah represents Tony's past and who Tony was, but the final battle and their whole conflict is
Yeah.
just kind of Tony trying to get rid of that part of himself.
yeah,
And you look at that with the Ironmonger suit, where it's pretty much just a little bit of a souped-up version of Mark I. It is a prehistoric version of Iron Man.
hmm
So it's very much Tony battling who he was the entire movie. So if you want to look at it through that context, he works well enough. It's
Yes.
just Obadiah's character as a whole isn't really that well developed. Because
No.
all it is just, well, we gotta sell missiles, Tony.
yeah.
We gotta sell missiles, Tony. He says
We're
Tony a lot.
yeah.
he just calls.
We're a weapons development, Tony. But he does have a phenomenal line. You know which one I'm talking about. Come on.
I'm trying to think now. Hold up. Say it. What is it?
In a cave with a box of scraps.
Yes. Tony
Yeah.
in a cave with a box of scraps.
Great
Yeah,
movie.
yelling at the freaking Christmas story.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I didn't know that was the kid from the Christmas story until that character showed up in Far From Home.
Yeah.
And I'll go in on IMDb and I click on the actor and I go, oh, that's the kid from Christmas Story, and he's just in a random cameo in Iron Man.
Yep.
But yeah, that was a great line delivery.
Mm-hmm.
But it also goes to show how much smarter Tony is than all these guys.
Yep.
But yeah, the one part also I like about Obadiah. When I looked back on it, and this is a huge criticism of all the MCU movies, is that all the villains are pretty much just the main character, except kind of different. Like Killmonger's final suit was just a jaguar, not a
Yeah.
panther. Stuff like
Yellow
that.
Jacket with Ant-Man.
Yeah. stuff
Red
like
Skull with Captain America.
that. Yeah.
But
But
Loki with Thor. They both got.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
I
yeah.
really liked the way Ironmonger's suit looked.
Yeah.
Like it was the Mark I, but it was a bit souped up, and it's almost like a lumbering gorilla in some shots where he's kind of just like lumbering towards. them.
Yeah.
Like visually, it looked kind of cool.
And it's good that they kind of nerfed Tony back and
they
had
did.
had him with the other arc reactor
The original one.
because Tony would have showed up.
Yeah, if Tony at full power would have absolutely,
Yeah.
how it should have ended video,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where it's just the tank missile.
Yeah.
Like it would have been like that, simple. But because he had the weaker arc reactor that couldn't support as much power, while Obadiah had the stronger arc reactor, but just not as good of a suit, it made the final battle very much matched up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although I will say the goofiest part was just, I see you've made some upgrades. Let me show you mine, and then he just slowly
Just like
goes up.
yeah.
That was a little goofy, but
Yeah.
overall, like it was a good, solid final
Yeah.
fight. They used what I look for in like battles or fights, hand-to-hand conflicts, that kind of stuff, is how they use the location.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they used the location, just this highway, really well. He just picks up a motorcycle and uses it as
Yeah.
a weapon.
And the CGI holds up really well. Like,
Yeah.
it looks solid. And they do get, like, both scenes where Iron Man's, like, out is at night. So it's going to be easier. Well, you get the scene in the desert.
Yeah.
But two out of three of the Iron Man scenes are out at night, which makes it easier to,
Yeah.
mess with the colors and make it look more well implemented. But it looks solid. Like, I can't, it looks like it
really
came
good.
out
And I
today.
think-
So,
Yeah, I think what works is that they saved their budget for that because the Mark One Iron Man, I'm pretty sure, as far as I could tell, was mostly practical.
yeah.
Like the flamethrowers, the suit itself. They tried to. It felt like they tried to make it as practical as possible, which I think is also a holdover from the '80s era movies, where like you got Star Wars. They made Star Wars as practically as they could.
Well, because there was no other
There
way.
was no CGI.
So that's what you had to
But,
do.
That's what influenced Jon Favreau. So he was going to make his movie as practical as possible.
Yeah.
And only when you couldn't make it practical, like when the Air Force comes after him and he's flying in the air. That's another scene that takes place in the daytime too. That's going to have to be CGI. They can't just put a guy in a suit and just make him fly. Fly in the sky. But they reserved the money for CGI until they really needed it.
Yeah.
Which made them able to kind of perfect how that looked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, nice little dead space right there.
This is why I took notes, right?
That's why I didn't. I enjoy the silence.
Yeah. Final note about the final fight. I know you brought this up while we were watching it, but earlier in the movie, I noticed the Audi stuff.
Oh yeah. All the Audi.
I remember so vividly watching In-Game in theaters, and there was the shot of, I think, Steve pulling up to Tony's cabin, and it was just a wide shot of this Audi pulling up to the camera. I go, geez, they didn't do this in previous Marvel movies.
No, they did.
Every car in Iron Man was an Audi.
Even on like the freeway.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Every single car.
it's like in the Amazing Spider-Man when every piece of technology is made by Sony.
Yes.
There's a random speaker in the background, Sony.
Dude,
This
we
old
gotta-
TV,
Yeah.
Sony.
Yeah.
Sony telephones, Sony everything. Crazy.
iPhones do not exist in the world of the Amazing
This man Peter Parker, Bing.
Yeah.
I assume that's owned by Sony.
Yeah. Speaking of phones, though, that phone he uses
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
desert. Oh my god.
It's like this man has the most advanced
Awkward.
technology ever,
And he
but
has-
he's using this old flip phone.
It's like a flip phone, and you can turn the screen to like
Well,
film conference.
if
mode.
I remember correctly, I think in Iron Man 2 they like overcorrected it, and he's like has this like holographic phone where it's like, it's like just a frame and then the screen's just projected across, and it's just like
Man just jumped up and
he definitely has it by the Avengers, but yeah.
Man really just went and made an Iron Man suit and said, "Well, I'm just going to make all my technology look super
Yeah.
advanced. My Audi car, no, that's just going to be a hologram."
Yep.
Oh my
And
god.
the holograms in the Iron Man movies just get more and more insane. They're kind of there in this movie.
Yeah, where
and-
he's like building the suit and testing.
Yeah.
it.
In Iron Man 2, it's like almost his full room. And then in Iron Man 3, he's just like doing, crime work. He's just analyzing the cityscape, like these like minute details with
this
hologram
giant holodeck
technology.
table. Yeah.
So,
It's kind of funny how that tech just progresses from relatively realistic to it's super comic book.
Yeah.
now.
So, I mean, that's just the way the MCU worked.
Yeah, it progressively got more comic booky, and I mean now even.
It's not a bad thing, though.
Yeah, yesterday WandaVision came out, and that I haven't seen it. You've seen it.
Yeah.
I would assume that's also like just super weird.
It's
and out
bizarre. It's the craziest thing they've done.
there. It's just it's crazy to think that this is where we're at with the MCU.
Yeah.
When we started with something that
And it's only going to get weirder.
yeah,
you know?
we got the Eternals coming out later this year.
Freaking Spider-Man 3, whatever that's called.
Yeah, Doctor Strange too.
Yeah.
like, all this weird out there stuff.
And I'm all for it.
You're all
So,
for it. Yeah, I mean, I like when they go full comic booky. What I'm worried about is the multiverse stuff.
yeah.
Because when you go multiverse,
And also the idea that time travel just exists in this
Yeah.
universe now.
Time travel multiverse is where I get really worried because it's just that's how you can cheapen so much of what happened. I mean,
And
they
here's the
couldn't-
thing,
Yeah.
even if it does,
Mhm.
we've got a solid,
we've got 20 years worth of movie.
well, we got,
20?
even if it
No,
does,
10.
10. Yeah,
Wow.
10. We've got, a perfect arc from Iron Man
Mhm.
to Endgame.
Yeah.
Just that set of movies, I wouldn't say perfect, but,
Mhm.
that's movie history right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's crazy to see how much this has grown. I mean, Rhodey's become a completely different
Oh,
person.
literally.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about him, but
He's kills it in this one.
yeah, dude,
Easily
I
his best
legitimately
performed.
think-
Well,
I think
say.
Terrence Howard would have worked much better as Don. Like
I-
we spent a lot more time with Don Cheadle, so like we're kind of used to him, and
Yeah.
I think he works.
He's fine.
But Terrence Howard just has, I don't know. He seems like a military
Yeah.
person. He feels like he would have that kind of authority. I would have loved to see him in a War Machine suit.
man, I know
They
that's
said that line. was
it's
just
so
his next time
unfortunate,
dating.
and there's no way they knew
Yeah.
what that would imply for the future.
So ironic.
But
oh my god.
yeah, this is easily the best movie Rhodey's in. I think
Mhm.
they give him the most to do, the most
Yeah.
character stuff, because in every other movie he's just kind of Tony's friend
Yeah.
that's there.
Like, this is Rhodey. He's
He's there. Yeah, this is
Gotta quote Suicide Squad, man.
obviously.
That movie was cinematic mess. Garbage.
Wow, hot take.
Yeah, no. No one's ever said Suicide Squad sucked.
Yeah, I certainly haven't.
Yeah, man. No, it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
I would put it maybe top 5 MCU movies.
Oh, easily top 5, definitely,
yeah.
and probably top 3. I'd have to think
Really,
about it
top
more.
3. I don't know. I think my favorite's Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
And then maybe Infinity War, then Guardians. I really
Mm.
like Guardians.
those 4, this Winter Soldier, Guardians,
Mhm.
and Infinity War, 4 dang near perfect comic
Yeah.
book movies,
Really good comic.
and they're all so distinct.
Mhm.
They all show a different side of the MCU.
different tones
yeah.
and approaches to how the narrative
Yeah.
works. You got Iron Man, which is what we've talked about.
Yeah.
Just this more grounded movie that has influences from the 80s.
And I'd say next to that, Winter Soldier is the most grounded.
Yeah.
In terms
It's a
of
spy
just-
thriller.
Yep. And
Yeah,
Guardians is very much the opposite.
yeah, like a weird cosmic comedy type deal.
Yeah.
Then
And-
Infinity War is just this huge event
Yeah.
that focuses in on a villain. And I would say Thanos was the main
Character.
in
Yeah,
that
for
movie.
sure. And I will say that the filmmaking in this movie isn't like crazy. It's not like
No.
outstanding.
No.
Like I watched X-Men the other day.
Yeah.
And that movie just has so much style to it.
Mm.
And it's just something that the MCU movies really lack. You know,
Yeah.
if you look at even the Amazing Spider-Man, that movie is super well shot. It has this dark tone. It's got this really distinct feel to it
Yeah.
that from like a visual standpoint, most Marvel movies kind of blend together
Yeah.
visually. Like you can't, the Guardians movies are the real exception. The Guardians movies, Doctor Strange, and Thor Ragnarok, I think,
Yeah.
are the only ones that really have
Stand out
a distinct visual style.
visually.
Everything else just kind of looks like a movie.
Yeah. Mm.
Which, there's great shots in this one, like, whenever he's in the
walking away from the
cave,
tank.
walking away from the explosion.
Yeah.
The shot where he's just flying across the sky with the jets. That's
I would-
great.
Yeah. I'll also say I feel like the color in this movie feels different than a lot of the other Marvel movies.
Yeah.
A lot of the other Marvel movies, I feel like there's brighter colors, everything's saturated.
Yeah.
With this, it's a bit more like visually dark and gritty. Not like Batman and Dark Knight dark and gritty, but there's a little bit more dirt to it. You get,
Yeah.
like, Tony's suit when he's going through all the terrorists. There's scuffs
Yeah, there's
and it's a bit dark.
The shot when
It's
he's like
bright red.
coming out of the crater from getting blown
Mhm.
up by the tank, his face is just
Yeah.
got, you can tell he just got shot in the face with a missile. So
Yeah, I think just color wise, it looks different.
yeah,
It does feel, and granted, this was before this whole universe started. It wasn't really focused on trying to fit in with the universe. I mean, the integration of the MCU buildup is a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
Phil
Phil Coulson. Yeah.
Phil.
So.
Oh my gosh. I love Phil.
Phil,
I mean,
how could you not?
I know, right?
I mean, I'm not an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. man, but just based off what we got in the movies, can't not like him.
Yeah,
so
you can't not like. I feel like Clark Gregg just perfect
embodies the just the dorky. He's just kind of like a salesman. He's trying to sell Shield to Tony and Pepper as like an industry, an investment.
Down to earth too.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying to be shady about it.
And like the scene in the Avengers whenever he shows up to Tony and Pepper's place and Pepper's like, Phil. She's all about seeing him again.
Everybody loves Phil. I will say though, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., really good show. I would recommend it to you and to everybody.
Okay.
I mean, the first season's rough, but I think after Winter Soldier events happen within the show, like pretty much it screws over the show, but it forces them to try to get creative with it.
Okay.
So I think it turns it for the better. But yeah, I mean, within these first movies, Phil works well. I think I wish I saw this before like any of the Avengers stuff was a thing.
Yeah, totally.
Just to be able to sit down in the theater.
Well, even if I did see it when I was 7,
yeah,
I don't think it would have had that big of an impact on me.
Yeah, that's true.
And especially like I wouldn't care about the after credit scene. I'd be like, okay, whatever.
Well, we wouldn't know to stay for the after.
Well, yeah.
The only reason I saw it was because my dad just fast forwarded through it, and got.
Did he know about it?
What?
Did he know about it?
I'm pretty sure he knew about it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he fast forwarded and said, "Watch this," and I watched it, and it's like, dude, that line is so iconic. You're a part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, that's used in. I want to say that was used in some marketing for Endgame, like
I think
voiceover in the trailer.
Used in marketing for like the Avengers.
Yeah.
And for Endgame, like it's such an iconic line because of what
and
it represented.
In an after credit scene.
Yeah, a scene that came after the credits, but also this scene that sets up a universe, not just a sequel.
Yeah,
it's not just now your arch nemesis Whiplash has broken out of prison.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to fight him, or oh no, aliens are invading. We're gonna have to go fight. I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. You're gonna be working with other superheroes, and you're like, what?
Okay,
like, that kind of prep scene never happened before.
Yeah, totally.
It makes like sure the dadgummit.
There it goes again.
There it goes again. Well, what I was going to say before I go and turn the camera back on is that's what makes the MCU so unique.
Yeah.
It might be a little corporatized, bland looking sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't always hit, but what makes it so unique is that this is the first time something like this has happened.
Well, and you can definitely see how big of an impact it's had on the movie industry just by seeing everybody try to play catch up with it. Universal tried to do it with the MonsterVerse, the one movie.
Yeah.
And then wait, hold up. I just thought of this. Is the Invisible Man from last year supposed to be part of those movies?
I don't think so. I think the original Invisible Man that they were going to put in was Johnny Depp as the
Yeah.
So I think this is something different. I think this is what Universal's going to do with their monster movies.
Oh, they're just okay.
Like make them almost these indie horror type deals.
But yeah, you take a look at that. DC tried to play catch up and
they failed miserably.
Didn't work for the most part. There's another one. I know Kong and Godzilla, the shared universe.
I think that's working fine enough.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Yeah.
Hopefully 3 out of 4. So, because I'm really looking forward to Kong and Godzilla. So, but yeah, the impact it's had on the movie industry is ridiculous. It really has. And that might be, I want to say it's for the worst, but it's like
in terms of maybe like artisanship and stuff.
I'd like to see more big blockbusters that are just kind of their own thing.
Yeah.
You know, not that don't have to have these connections.
I think that's what DC's going with now. I think they realized
Hey,
they tried to
if it
play
works.
catch up with Marvel and failed. So now they're going like with Birds of Prey and Joker.
And
Joker doesn't
Shazam.
take place in the same universe.
Is Shazam? Yeah, because you had the
Shaz-
Superman at the end.
Yeah,
But-
so I think they're trying to simultaneously build their own universe, but also make it very loose.
And I will say, even if I don't like a lot of the DC movies, each one has a distinct tone and style.
Yes, they let their filmmakers do what they want, and I think that's the big thing with Marvel right now is it has to fit the brand.
Because like, who's making Marvel movies? You know, it's
Yeah.
like you know, you got the Russos, some
Yeah.
big names. You know, Joss Whedon. We
Peyton
were gonna
Reed.
have Edgar Wright.
Yeah, for Ant-Man.
That would have been incredible.
would have been amazing, but because
But-
he doesn't stick
Yeah.
on brand, we got stuck with Peyton Reed.
And
he didn't do a bad
Passable. Yeah.
job. Yeah, it's just I don't know who the guy is.
Yeah.
The only reason I know Peyton Reed's name is because I watched Ant-Man.
And and now I know it because he did a couple episodes of The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
I still haven't seen the Mandalorian.
And it's like-
I'm so far behind on TV.
Yeah.
Like I watch more TV than you.
I don't watch
But-
any.
Yeah, he watches no TV, but he's caught up on The Mandalorian, The Clone Wars, WandaVision. I haven't started any of that crap.
Yeah, but
Like-
you've seen
I've
well
gone back-
over 4 times the amount of content I have.
Yeah,
So
I've seen so many TV shows, but it's all been old stuff that I've heard is good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going back and trying to watch The Sopranos, The Wire, Breaking Bad, that kind of stuff, while you're keeping up with like the more recent
yeah.
shows.
I was gonna say something,
And I made you lose your train.
You
of
did.
thought.
but what? Wait, hold up. What were we talking about before?
Peyton Reed.
Peyton Reed. Oh yeah, I would not have liked to see Edgar Wright do Ant-Man because I know it would definitely be constricting.
Yeah.
He definitely would not have been able to make the movie he wanted to make, and that's
Yeah. Warner
That's
Brothers
the way
is
it
a lot
went.
more catering for that.
and that's why I'm really looking forward to James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Just because see what he was able to do with like the Marvel constraints.
Yeah.
So whenever he's working with DC,
Yeah.
let's see it. Let's.
Even with the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be good. I highly doubt
I-
it's going to
yeah.
be good. But the fact that they're willing to release it and actually, allow Zack Snyder to go back and make the
Yeah.
cut he wanted.
I mean, it can't be worse. There is
It
no.
cannot be
There is
worse
no
than the Justice
possible
League we
way
got.
this movie is worse than Justice League. So.
I mean, we're going to have Jared Leto Joker in it.
Oh,
so
I forgot
don't
about
know.
that. Maybe it will be worse.
Well, we'll see.
Well,
talk about it when
the
it
funny
comes out.
thing about that situation is, the big campaign was like, it exists. The Snyder Cut is out there.
Yeah.
And even Zack Snyder made this tweet of these reels, this like massive thing of reels. And he's like, of course it exists. Here's the Snyder Cut right now. But I also need $70 million and I need a bunch of reshoots and I need to add characters that weren't in the movie in the first place. So probably didn't exist actually.
Yeah.
Like it's such a weird scenario, but I mean,
It's like, I'm sure it existed on a script, but you did not film it on.
yeah, I mean, you've got 13 TV shows that exist,
Yeah.
right? From that logic.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I sit down and brainstorm ideas for TV shows and movies, and
Yeah.
I write down what I want to happen. So I guess,
Yeah, of course it
the
exists.
Garrett cut of literally anything.
That's how you're
else
going to
I'm
get them
create.
funded. You're like, I already got them with shows.
I mean,
I already got them.
Yeah,
They're already out there.
Got the
They
movie.
exist. Duh.
Just give me the money.
We'll see if that works.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
But
But yeah, going back to it, Iron Man, really solid movie. Really liked it.
Yeah.
I'm glad we revisited it.
I'm glad I did too, because I mean, I hadn't seen it in like 2 years, which isn't
I-
that long.
Yeah, I
But
haven't seen it for longer than that.
yeah,
I'm one who does not rewatch a lot.
yeah, I don't either. Looking back, the
Hmm.
movies I've rewatched this year, it's been with other people.
Yeah.
So-
I think that's a good setting to rewatch movies.
Yeah, totally.
If there's a movie you want to watch, I think it's best to watch that by yourself.
Yeah.
And then go back and rewatch it with people to just kind of get that group feeling. Because a lot of the times you go to see something with friends, or especially if now that we're all at home and crap.
Yeah.
You're with friends at home and you're watching something, or you're with family at home and you're watching something. You miss a lot because.
Oh yeah, totally.
My little brother will be talking, or the dogs will run in, and we miss something. So it's
Yeah.
good to sit down and watch it through the first time, and then go back and rewatch it. You'll catch things.
And see how you
anyways.
click with it whenever you're not as like fully
Yeah.
locked in.
Yeah,
So
but like stuff like comedies.
yeah.
There's very few comedies that I'll laugh at when I'm watching by myself. When I laugh at them, I think that's one of the funniest
Yeah,
things. I've ever
and I'll
seen.
be like, whenever I watch a comedy, I'll think to myself, I'm like, wow, that was a really funny joke. That's awesome.
Yeah,
But I don't laugh at it at all.
Yeah.
So
When you go watch that in a friend's setting after you've seen it,
you're
and then
you're
you
just
start-
rolling. Yeah.
you just roll with it. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
The psychology of movie watching.
I definitely agree. So
Yeah. So, any other thoughts on Iron Man?
that's about it. How long
Yeah.
you want this to be?
So, we talk until we talk. We've
All
been
right.
doing this for an hour, and I think an hour's perfect
Ours
time.
not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion,
Good
Martin
movies.
Scorsese is wrong.
This is cinema.
and
'Cause
this
Is the Cinema Lounge.
That was
That's right.
perfect. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody.
See you.
I'm gonna wave because.